Okay, so here we go. Here we are. 409. So let's see. Here we go. Live. There I am. And there's Devlin. There's Commander Torres. Hello. Hello to the two of you. And I'm sure everyone else turning up here fairly soon or getting settled in, pouring your favorite beverage and getting all ready for another relaxing evening. Hey, Devlin, good to see you. And it looks like I'm on, so... All right, how is everyone tonight? Lisa, Accipiter, how you doing? How is everybody? Oh, it's good to see all of you tonight. Hang on, let me just move out top chat and down to all chat, live chat, to make sure everyone is visible to me. I hope you all have had a very good week so far, are continuing to have a good week. This week is, improving somewhat. It's after the loss of one of our fosters and everything, we're sort of getting back into just the routine of life. Miss him dearly and we honor him. But otherwise, as for the rest of it, life goes on. Susie's here. Hey. Commander Torres, well, you didn't have to go to work. That's a good thing. So let's see what's going on tonight. Devlin's got Wolfworm. As you all can see, I'm still sort of, slaloming very slowly through these giant tomes that I'm reading. I think tonight I'm going to do the same thing that I did last week. First session for me, I'm going to, take another little bite out of Tom's Crossing. And then for the second session, I will read more of The Hidden City. Didn't get too much reading time during the week proper, as I would have liked. I did get some really decent reading time, but, not as much as I get to enjoy on these evenings with you guys, but hopefully that'll pick up soon. Otherwise, but yeah, Wolfworm. Very curious to know how you think about it. T. Kingfisher is very, very, very prolific these days, so yeah, be sure to let me know what you think of that one, Devlin. How's it going, Mike? Hey, Chris York, good to see you. Okay, good news tonight. After a bit of a break, we get to have another mini mailbag at the beginning of session 2. It's only 2 packages tonight, but one of them I think is going to be pretty exciting, so we'll look into that. Mike is reading A Red Winter. Yes. Karen is talk about another reader of tomes. Karen is reading Lonesome Dove. That is definitely a bucket list book for me. I would like to get into that as reading a little bit more Americana in between my SFF. I do want to read that because everyone, and of course it's Texas stuff, right? So there's that, and I've heard that. I've heard great things about many of his other books as well. So, Commander Torres is continuing with Operation Bounce House. Accipiter has a bit of a classic, reading Timescape by Gregory Benford. Oh, that's one that I don't remember too much of, but I remember the basic gist of it. But yeah, I do want to reread it at some point because I know not long ago, like maybe 5-6 years ago, Benford actually wrote like a very long delayed sequel to that book. That be a good reason to dig that one back out of the pile. Susie's reading nonfiction today, How to Talk to a Science Denier. Interesting. Very interesting. Conversations with flat earthers, climate deniers, and others who defy reason. Yes, I would like to... back in like the 2000s, I built up a pretty decent little personal library of, skeptic books. And among those are, of course, books all about that talk all about just various conspiracy theorists, believers in strange irrational things. So it's a part of human nature that's always been with us, I guess. But of course, the internet is allowing this kind of misinformation and this kind of weird magical thinking to spread, I think, at a pace that it's never really had before. So it's an important thing to address. So I'll have to look that one up, Susie. But it sounds really cool. Killswitch is working on Radiant Star still. All right, sweet. Very good. Well, like I said, I don't really have much in the way of news. Other than, you know, what I just told you. We're going to see a couple of new books at the beginning of second session. And then otherwise, yeah. So, as always, it's wonderful to spend my Thursday evenings with my little fam here, my SFF180 fam. Gosh, let's see. I don't know how we're going to do for trains tonight because it's been pretty quiet most of the day. But maybe we'll get one, and Killswitch can regale us with some more train history, hopefully. But Lisa's reading Seasons of Albion. I've not heard of that one. Oh. See him? They're really active in this tree right now. As you see right up there. Hang on, wait. There. They're really active in that tree. That's cool. That is really great. It is indeed. So I do want to allocate, and one flew across to the wire out by the street. Something I need to reactivate and hook back up my Bird Buddy, because we've had those Bird Buddy. I have one of those Bird Buddy feeders that's got the live camera, and then the camera, the bird will fly up. The camera identifies the bird, but I haven't actually had it hooked up for some time. I need to reactivate my account. I think it needs a firmware update or something, and then get that back up because spring is here effectively, and so I want to see some more of the burbs. So house sparrows then. Okay. Yeah. Oh, it's great fun to have, the little app. But then one day, like, a squirrel figured out how to get on the feeder, and so all we were getting was pictures of the squirrel, which was often hilarious. You get a giant squirrel butt right there by the camera, but after a while I'm like, come on. And we would see the same two cardinals a lot of the time. Cardinals are bullies when it comes to bird feeders. I mean, they really are. They can be just real jerks. They will stake out a feeder and decide it's their territory, and they will really menace any other little birds who come up to try to eat. And there's not really anything you can do about it. But Susie has a fun train tidbit. Look at this. Oh, interesting. The hot pepper bird seed. Is that like a thing to squirrel-proof your bird feeder then, Devlin? That's interesting. I've not heard of that. I'm intrigued. Yeah. Okay, I'll look that up. White-throated sparrows are little gangsters. Yeah. True. Well, all right, everyone. Well, as always, it's wonderful to see all of you guys. We have a modest little crew tonight. Those of you just lurking, if you're just now turning up to the stream, if all you want to do is lurk, that's great. If you want to jump into chat and let us know what you're reading tonight, you feel free to do that too. But otherwise, lurkers or otherwise, I am very happy to have you here. And I hope you can enjoy the next couple of hours just chilling and reading and letting your cortisol levels drop and, just doing all the things in an early evening that we all need to relax us. So, back on the mirror series is. Yeah. Birds aren't affected by capsaicin. Oh. Okay, now I have heard that about blue jays too. I've heard that about them. Yeah, ruby-throated hummingbirds. We're not sure they're feeder with others, which is. The Bird Buddy company now does make. I don't think we have enough of them around here to make it worthwhile, but they now also market a hummingbird feeder with a camera as well as like their standard bird feeder. If I lived in a place where I knew hummingbirds were plentiful, I would absolutely have one. Chapter 5 tonight. Okay. Very cool. All right, guys. So That's enough hellos and chit-chat. Oh, hello, loud Mr. UPS truck. Are you coming to my house? Stop here, deliver books. He is stopping. But is he stopping for me, or... We'll see. Could have some, is it UPS? Somebody from UPS? Okay. Huh. Might be. Yeah, it's coming my way. Evening.
How's it going?
Oh, not too bad. I'll just take that. Thank you. I'll just try this side. All right, you have a great night.
You too.
Take care.
Yes, sir.
Live service right here on camera. Okay. Correction: 3 books, and the mini mailbag tonight. So here we go. All right. That was fun. Okay, and RAFM now has the short story collection "Valuable Humans in Transit" by Quantum. Yeah, we do. We do very much. So, yeah, a lot of gasoline was spent, and hours out of that man's day just to deliver a book to me. So, you know, I'm grateful for his efforts, and I hope that he is able to live a good life with a job like that. So wonderful. That's, I mean, I'm serious. That's literally like the mailbag live. That's the most live mailbag I've ever had. Oh, that was awesome. Okay. All right, then now I start the clock. 45 minutes and counting. Session 1. Great to have you here. And here we go. Lean over. Okay. Enjoy my soda for tonight. By the way, if you don't mind another few seconds of goofy trivia, that means nothing, but it's fun. Okay, so this is a locally produced soda. When I say locally, I mean Texas, that I bought here. This is a Dublin 1891 Founder's Recipe Cola. Now, Dublin is a little town in Texas where they have this soda brewing plant. And for the longest time, they were the only plant in that they had the license to do Dr. Pepper, and they were the only plant in the country that was still doing Dr. Pepper with cane sugar. And then the Dr. Pepper company itself finally were like, all right, we'll start doing that now. Thanks very much, and all this. But what I understand is but they do have a lot of their own flavors. And as I understand, I think 1891 is supposed to be their kind of Dr. Pepper formula, so we'll see. But anyway. Oh, you got Still Gods. Very nice. I decided to get my copy of that through the Broken Binding, because I don't think Orbit in the US is doing that one in hardcover, and I wanted a hardcover of it, so I'm still waiting for it. I'm still waiting for that copy, and I'm still waiting for the Broken Binding copy of Children of Strife. So, I'm sure it's all just sort of normal stuff, so, yeah. All right, then. So, let's get going with evenings, but, yeah, I don't know how visible this will be, but, yeah, that's their little logo. Second place from Pepsi a few years ago behind, wow, I can see. If you've never had the Dr. Pepper, if you are a Dr. Pepper drinker but you've never tasted it with the cane sugar, it's a world of difference. Doesn't have that thick syrupy quality that soda can have when it uses high fructose corn syrup. So, the Great Silent Series. Okay, yeah. I will certainly be refreshed with that. Is that a new collection of his short fiction, or what? If it's already like selling for collector prices or something, I don't know. My face. Wow, that would be wild. Right in front of your... Wow. A hummingbird just stop like a little drone and float right in front of your face for a minute. I would think that would be like the coolest thing I could ever experience. Just released. Science fiction, fantasy, and weird fiction. Huh. Okay. For $9.99. I don't get publicist information for absolutely everything, so if that's, especially if that's like, that sounds like something that would probably be released in the UK or something too, so. Okay. Well, I guess that one was especially curious. He's freestyling. very chatty tonight. Not really... I don't think I've ever heard anything quite like this, just how... Well, I'm glad they chose that little tree to make their home in, then. Yeah. I agree, Kelswitch. think they got a lot of that energy out of their systems. I was right about the trains, though. It's kind of very much dead in that department tonight. Well, hello, Kate. Okay, everybody. That's the first session down. So, see you guys in 5. Okay. Okay, so I didn't realize that I had switched back to the metal intermission, which is fine. I just didn't remember that I had done that. And then while that was going on, we have a train. So I'm like, just not, just to throw you guys from the pure chill of the first 45 minutes into that was fun. But yeah, this might have been a big bit of a transition there. Of course, now we have a... So hopefully this means, though, now that the sun is down, maybe there will be more trains. So, hopeful for that. It's second session. Hopefully we'll have more. The only reason I quit... I suppose, why should I care? But those metal clips were supposedly, like, royalty-free. Little tunes there, but the first two times I started using them for these streams, they didn't get claimed. Hello, George. Thank you so much. How are you doing, sir? They didn't get claimed, but they were just sort of like, oh, hi, we see you use this song. Well, you should do revenue sharing with the artist. And I'm like, okay, I thought that was kind of not... So, I mean, I don't mind. You know, it's not like I derive huge income streams from these streams, you know. But anyway. Good to have you, George. Good to have you, man. Hope you're doing well, sir. And thank you, as always, for the generosity. Speaking of the little mailbag, let's go ahead and do that right now. I mean, we didn't get to hear most of this train. I'm hopeful more trains will arrive, so I'll do this. We'll get this going on and see what we have. So it looks like this first one here comes in from Simon & Schuster, so it's going to be a Schuster, excuse me, a saga title, almost certainly. Let's see what we have. Ooh, ew, ew. How would you do that? I'm going to... Ew. With this sort of all right then. This is this saga? No, this is just regular. Right. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Check it. This looks to be an upcoming horror novel called Needlemouth. The author is Kaiming Chang. There we are. There's the cover. It's very, very Kwaidan looking. Let's have a look. This is. This says it comes out on October 20th. Wow, from the award-winning author of Bestiary, which I don't know, but I'll look up. A story of three cousins forced to complete an impossible and violent task set by a vengeful demon. Here we go, there's that cover again. Cousins Cindy, Yang Yang, and Mandy's hot, tedious summer unfolds in their grandmother's hauntingly familiar house. Mandy, the eldest, seeks connection online and exchanges emails with a stranger. Yang Yang, the youngest, retreats into her own imagination in search of meaning. But every morning, Cindy wakes with strange objects in her mouth. A button, a berry, a coin. One night, a starved figure with a mouth the size of a needle tip appears at Cindy's bedside. She is hunger-afflicted, a demon with no descendants to feed from. She is Needlemouth. Part vampire, part hungry ghost, Needlemouth forces the girls into a grim task to end a man's life. Cindy, Yang Yang, and Mandy are plunged in and out of the demon realm, where they are called to break out of the indifference and numbness of their claustrophobic worlds, and where they are met with the most rageful and resistant parts of themselves. In a quest to satisfy the demon's hunger, they unravel their shared grief and reckon with the cyclical violence that shaped their family. For readers of Akwaiki Imezi and Carmen Maria Machado, Kaiming Chang has crafted a reimagined coming-of-age novel that asks, what does it mean to become the monster instead of slaying it? And here you are, one more time. Yeah. So I'm going to say, yeah, that looks very cool. So, weird fic, strips of magical realism. Okay. Oh, that sounds intriguing. Okay, so October 20th for this one. And so thank you, Simon & Schuster. Yeah, it says it's pretty, let me look at the length here. So it's, yeah, it's pretty sure, 267 pages. So in and out, gets the job done. I like that. Onward. Now this next one looks like it might be in from Hachette, so let's take a look. Oh, okay. Okay then, well, here we are. Volume 2 of The Captives' War. James S.A. Corey. This one actually comes out pretty soon. It comes out on the 14th, so they're just now getting this one into me. But here we go. It's the second volume in the New York Times bestselling and critically acclaimed space opera trilogy, The Captives' War. So, you know, if you read, I have, you know, I very much enjoyed, you know, the first of these, and The Mercy of Gods, and wrote my review, never recorded it, so I'll probably do like both of these probably together in the same video, or just back to back or what have you. But this arrives, like I said, yeah, April the 14th, so coming up this Tuesday. Very cool. All right, there we are. Ding, ding, ding. The Faith of Beasts. And so, and as you just heard, this one is definitely going to be a trilogy, not like 9 books like The Expanse was, and it is, as I understand, in development for television. So, there we are. Ah, well done with the pun, George. Oh, the one that literally arrived on camera from UPS. Let's see what this is. This, oh, this is a finished copy of something. Oh, okay. This is another horror. And this is the new book by Nick Cutter, The Dorians. Yeah, so I have that one there. You see the nice spot varnish on the cover there. So let's have a look. This one says, when their minds finally made their first dim reckoning, it wasn't so bad at all. The intruder, or savior, depending on one's point of view, arrived as a laughing brightness. Yet within this brightness lurked an element much darker and harder to grapple with. On a remote island in the Canadian wilderness, 5 elderly volunteers from different walks of life are given a tantalizing offer: to stall their biological clocks or even reverse them, restoring their lost youth. The chance to put death on pause, forever perhaps. The remarkable secret lies in the high-tech harnessing of an ancient and extraordinary biological agent, one with no conscience, yet possessed with a single-minded purpose that has helped it persist for eons, the will to survive. The dark heart of unbridled human ambition finds its apex in an unholy experiment that now tests the limits of both creator and subject, eclipsing all bounds of morality and sanity. Well, you know, science must march on, mustn't it? So there we go. The Dorians by Nick Cutter. And this is a finished copy, so I'm imagining if it's not out in bookstores now, it'll probably be this coming week, or certainly by the end of the month. And this one is from Gallery, so another Simon & Schuster piece. This is a heck of a little mailbag for this week, is it not? So, coolness. Well, very happy to get all of those. That was pretty exciting, wasn't it? Good choices. Well, true, yes, George. I mean, it does, but... Right. So, good. There we go. Now, let me just do this part, because I am going to go ahead, I think, and switch, you know, reads this time. So, switch on over to the Hidden City. I think that's the general idea. If they're trying to not age, I think that would be the reference there in the title. So, it's my assumption anyway. So I'm going to go with Session 2. Reset for 45 minutes. Bing. Start and counting down. And, excuse me, stretch like that. Kill switch, if you wanted to, do your train fact by all means. Tranquility. Imagine being in a hurry to get to Mississippi. Oh, jeez. Yeah, that's, he is a braver man than I, for sure. Well, thank you, Kill Switch. Well, let's hope for more trains to pass us by tonight. You know? And we'll, pour one out for Casey. Ah, I'll just open that up right now. Yeah, the earworm commercial. Yeah, there we are. Casey Jones official audio. I was expecting the Choo Choo commercial maybe to be, especially after your story was so compelling, Killswitch. I guess I was expecting it to be maybe a little hookier than it was, but you know, by the standards of early 1950s TV commercials, it was probably was very much an earworm at the time. So, I mean, obviously it was, because it was a wildly successful campaign, apparently. So, okay. Your puns, they are manifest. Okay, I'm going to have to find this, but since we're on the subject of trains, right, don't mind chatting a little bit about this. I've got a box set of Blu-rays that's all, like, early cinema by, like, going, you know, silent era stuff by women filmmakers. And, you know, a lot of stuff that's just a lot of people don't know much about. Actually, I have a couple of those, but one of them, there's, gosh, and I wish I remembered her name, knew it by heart, but at the time I got this, I watched a ton of these, and they were amazing. Yeah, I feel embarrassed that I don't remember, but I don't do well with names anyway, to remember them off the top of my head. But there's this one filmmaker who was essentially like the female Buster Keaton, right? She did these short, she directed and starred in these silent comedies where there was obviously, it's a lot of physical humor in a silent comedy, and but she did also, like Buster Keaton, her own death-defying often stunts, right? And in one of these, she is like stopping a train that's, you know, kind of gotten out of hand, and runaway train, you know, and there is one sequence where she is, I believe she's on one of the, you know, and goes off a bridge, okay, into this river. And yeah, it's Kino Lorber, yeah, you know, they do all this incredible stuff, and I just remember watching this, being absolutely, you know, just knocked out by it. But you know, it was fun to watch. It really was. You know, and you have like this. There's like all like, it starts out, or like, you know, her. I think she's. I think her job is with the railroad to, you know, to do the signals, right? And it starts out very much where, you know, she has this chauvinist boss who's like, "Oh, this is no job for a woman," you know. And then of course the whole thing is about her, you know, proving, you know, that she's better than everyone. But it's a fun watch. But yeah, here she is doing everything that Buster Keaton was doing with his comedies. You know, all of these crazy stunts, and back in like the 19-teens. So, but the one that was in particular about a train and stopping a train, you know, the Casey Jones story reminded me of that. So. Yeah. So now, because I'm thinking of that, I'm going to dig that set out and get the actual information. Yeah, and then I'll post, to the Discord about it. But yeah, may have been, Devlin, Helen Gibson could be. That rings a tiny little bell in my brain. The Gibson, yeah. Yeah, it might have been. It might be. I'll look up for sure, and I'll look up the specific little short. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, George. I know what you're talking about, George. I think I've read something along the lines of, anywhere between 80 to 90% of movies before, 1935, 1940 have been lost. Or certainly in the silent era, so many of them, because there was no thinking about like preserving them for posterity. They were made, they ran their course, and there was not any thought back then to preservation, because they're just turning them out, so. Especially now that George is bringing that up, yeah, there's an Instagram feed that I follow called Pre-Code Horror, and they post still images, and some of them are of course very famous and well known, but some are like, here's the only known image from this or that thing, and the film itself is thought to be lost, and you see the still image, and it's just this amazing, you just want to, it's like, I desperately must see this movie right now, this looks so cool. Sad. So, the one that the one you always hear about that's lost is London After Midnight. That's one of those like holy grail of lost movies that people keep hoping to find and never do. But yeah, true. Well, it's true, George. Yeah, I mean, most of the stuff, like I said, they were very much churned out by an industry that was just getting the product out there because of the novelty of movies and what have you, and there's a demand of the public. So yeah, I mean, so a great deal of them were just, frivolous little things, but still, as historical relics now, keepsakes of their time, it would be wonderful to just have more of them available. Lon Chaney, yes he did. That he does. That he does. That he does. So. Anyway. Okay, so I'm gonna read for real now. Lon Chaney After Midnight. But yeah, if you don't follow it, if you're on Instagram, look for Pre-Code Horror. I believe that's the feed. And there are probably a lot of other pre-code. I'm sure there are pre-code feeds as well. There's probably, you could probably do a search for, lost silent cinema. Yeah, I hear about that, but, if that's the case, I mean, there's nothing really stopping anyone from, unless, it's one of those believe it when I see it sort of things, because someone could certainly, excuse me, I wouldn't say they should do this, but somebody would, certainly, make film history in a sense, not necessarily make a bundle of money, but they would certainly, gain a great deal of prominence in the world of cinema if you actually had a copy of some known copy of some long lost film. It's like, why have this? Why sit on it? I'll be a hero to the movie world for a year. Yeah. So yes, I mean, if some people privately own copies of London After Midnight, well, come on, why do that? Then why sit on that? It's like, but I'm sure we'll never see it, just like we will never see the cut footage from Magnificent Ambersons. It's just gone, sadly. That would be the thing I'd do. Hoard rare things just so they know they are the only one who can see it. Yeah, Killswitch, I guess that's true. Like that Wu-Tang album that there's only one copy of, and that like scumbag billionaire who eventually went to prison apparently bought it. I'm surprised that hasn't. I mean, that should be released. If he's in prison, they should just grab that as one of his assets and, you know, rip it and put it up on. Now that's interesting, George. That is interesting because that sounds like something a studio would. You would think a studio would only do that, would make an announcement like that if they were fairly confident that, you know, in that there might actually be a copy floating around out there. You would think. Or, you know, maybe they just, you know, stated that as a general principle of policy or something. Oh yeah, if someone has that, we're not going to give them a hard time. Yeah, just yeah. That'd be interesting to read more about. Yeah, well, I'm definitely gonna look more into that since you show that. Yeah, someone MGM. Yeah. Yeah, either they know something or they've just had some sort of indication that, you know, well there maybe they've heard rumors, but there seem to be a little more than rumors, that, you know, maybe there really is something actually to this. But of course they wouldn't want to say anything to the general public just yet in terms of any kind of announcement, right? Until it's proven to exist at the very least. But yeah, well, now that you bring all this up, I do want to read up more about it. Let's see what I can learn. Hmm. Hmm. Did he actually have anything he shouldn't have had? I'm sorry, Roddy Cornelius McDowell just sounds like a film character. Also, it just does. Oh, okay. Hmm. Huh. And they were all just regular movies, right? Like, yeah. Oh, hey. Welcome, Elena. Good to have you. Hey, if you brought something to read with us tonight, let us know what it was. Otherwise, no worries. Very nice to... Reading Into the Deep. Robert D. Ah. Oh, very cool. Well, thanks for coming by. Oh. Well, I suppose, yeah, there really was a time when maybe, unlike today, studios just didn't want people owning copies of movies. You know? I wonder if it was one of his party guests who ratted him out. Like, did he get, sentenced? Did he have to go to jail, or just give the movies back? Seems like it would be a hell of a thing to put a man in jail for. I mean... Well, that's good. I mean, I do know that just prior to, like in the years before the introductions of VCRs into the world, it was not impossible to get movies at home. I remember living overseas when we were in the this would have been a little kid, very early 70s, right? And nobody can say, gosh, it's just probably nobody noticing. Well, yeah, I wonder if he did he just like get them from theaters who had screened these movies and they just not sending them back. He had hundreds of prints. That's funny. I'm sure he did, Kelswitch. Many cases, yeah. But anyway, when I was a little kid, I do remember. I'm sure, and of course, I was living overseas, so I don't know if such a thing like this existed here in the States. Probably did in some form. I had a birthday party, and I wanted to show a movie at the birthday party, and and I remember going with my parents to this place where you could choose a movie, right? And a projectionist would turn up at your house with a 16 millimeter print and a screen that they would set up. And you would watch a movie at home that way. That's how it was done. So there was at least a little while in which, it's movies at home was not, unheard of or certainly not illegal. But maybe you just had to go through like proper authorized like rental places. And then it wasn't until like VHS when it became actually a very commercial thing. Yeah, so he had enough to bring these. So yeah, in the business. Yeah, so people just bring him prints and he would keep them. Hey, RFM, how you doing? Good to have you. You are not too late. We got about like 15 minutes left in the evening, but that's fine. Glad you could make it. Okay, well, I really want to read up on this Cornelius guy more now. Roddy Cornelius McDowell. I do remember those. I had those. I was among my friends. No, among my friends in the 90s. I think was one of the few people in my little arena of friends who had a Laserdisc player. That's it, Laserdiscs. They were 12-inch discs. Analog technology, interestingly. And in the early to mid-90s, that's what you had if you wanted to have anything close to like primo home theater. And it was always very much a niche market, but it did open the door to things like DVD and then eventually Blu-ray and what have you, HD, because I remember Laserdiscs pioneered, pun intended, because my first player was a Pioneer, things that we now get fairly commonly, like, commentary tracks and bonus materials, behind the scenes, little videos, extra bonus stuff that came with the movie. But yeah, I had those. I had those indeed. But I didn't have the cartridge kind. Now, there was the kind that came in those George Miller. It was RCA Select Division. They came in giant. The disc was in this plastic hard case. But that was really only for that particular player. Later on, the most Laserdiscs were just sold. They were in like, the same kind of packaging that a vinyl record would come in, right? Just in sleeves, big 12-inch sleeves. They were like records. You rent a movie and the player from Radio Shack at the same time. Oh, okay. So that would have been the precursor then to what then came along later on as Laserdisc. Selectavision, yeah. Yeah, Selectavision was before Laserdisc kind of broke out to a slightly larger demographic. But the Selectavisions didn't really have anything fancy going on. It was later on, it was in the 90s, kind of the Laserdisc wave of the 90s, where they started doing things like I told you about, all the commentaries, the bonus materials, also widescreen presentation of the movies, letterbox presentations and what have you, which all of which is totally common now. But yeah, I never had a Selectavision. I never got into that. I think I may have known exactly one person who had that, and I remember thinking it seemed like it was a very cumbersome format. You had to pop the entire flat cartridge into the player, and then it would pop the outer bit back out to you, and then it would play the thing. And then to get the disc out, you'd have to slide that thing back in and let it come out. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, right. Yes, George, I remember those TVs as well, and they looked awful. They looked awful. Yeah, little front projection TVs. Yeah. Oh, well. Correct, sir. And of course, compared to what you can LED screens, monitors that you can buy at Walmart today, the TV, they weren't even especially large screens. I think they were 48 inches or something. Maybe some of them went up to 60 inch, but that's not, again, that's still just not anything special. But back then, it was It's interesting what we could be impressed by in the very, very early days of tech, right? Like Pong. Boop. 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 Turn the knob. Just blew our minds. Yeah, I wonder where a lot of those ended up, too. The thing about early adopters and new technology is you do tend to get kind of screwed around, right? I mean, a friend of mine had one of the first 16 by 9, but they were the rear projection TVs. As these were when DVDs were first coming out, those were the big screen TV. They didn't have the flat screens or the plasmas or the LEDs yet, but they had the rear projection, large, and the 16 by 9 aspect ratio. But those gave way very quickly to the flat screens. The plasmas, and then as the LEDs got better, and then the OLED finally, what have you. And so what those owners are left with now is this just giant old obsolete TV that sits in their living room like a boulder. What do you do with that? I mean, what would you do with something like that if you still had one today? I mean, I guess you could put it on Facebook Marketplace for $50, or just please drive this away from me. Please put this in the back of a trailer and drive it away. But when they were new, they were like, that was the high-tech thing, and cost thousands of dollars. So yeah. Kind of like the original mobile phones, right? They were the size of a hardback dictionary. Or at least, just a very large walkie-talkie or something. But well, I'll say this. Even though I no longer have my old player, I still did keep two laser discs from my original collection. I have them in storage. And it's only because they are music discs, performances that I don't think have been released in any other format. And my fantasy delusion is that someday maybe I'll find some service that can take those laser discs, digitize those, and maybe burn all that onto a DVD or a Blu-ray disc for me. So sure, it will never happen, but I've got those two items still. George, you do not have to be embarrassed that you still own your copy of Disco Duck. I told you that before. It's perfectly, You can listen to it with pride. Well, everyone, that is the end of session 2. 45 and 45 down. So I want to thank all of you for turning up tonight. This was a fun night. Quiet first session. A lot more convo going on in the second one, but, you know, I enjoy that a great deal. Some interesting stuff. I'm going to look up Mr. Cornelius, of course. Mr. Cornelius McDowell. And I will definitely look up information about that one silent film lady as well and put that in the Discord. Exactly. So, yeah, it did feel like it went kind of fast, didn't it? So, as always, I love you guys dearly. Thanks for being my SFF180 fam. Thank you for sharing your Thursday nights with me. Each Thursday night, these little reading sessions, like I said, you know, takes the pressure of the week off, and that's great. So, yeah. So, without further anything, yeah, I don't think there's anything left. So, no more announcements or anything of that sort. So, until I see all of you next time, and it will be next time, next week, same time. Thanks once again. You guys stay safe, sleep well, happy reading, etc., etc., and we'll see you soon, okay? Good night, everyone. Good night, and thank you.